Hello everyone! Have you ever wondered how much damage can IDs produce? How much of their keywords can they inflict? Is Ring Sang really the most broken thing? Well, those are some questions I'm gonna try to answer in this video. I organized the data of every ID so far and make calculations for the maximum damage they can deal by themselves under the best conditions, as well as how much statuses they inflict. I'm first gonna detail the process, and then we'll proceed with a review of it all. Well, when I say review, I prepared some format to make the whole thing more entertaining and digestible for people about to faint when there's more than 20 words in one screen. Also, all the data is available in the description. But first, let me explain how this works. And for some, this might seem very familiar. Well, it would be, because it's close to my first Limbus video, where I reviewed the maximum damage of IDs and Eagles at the time. What you're gonna see is a completely altered version. In said video, I only took the skills, calculated the damage, and added the status damage to the result. No passive, no offense level. This was a very simplified version, which at the time wasn't too much of a problem. Now to the present. Keywords have been pushed to the point where all of them have some theme that can build up around the status. Well, more or less. So first, status damage didn't really match as easily, and it was just very weird depending on IDs, which made me want a list with those separated. Second, passives in the past could matter, but it was only on some IDs, like BLT Sang, therefore it wasn't a big deal. Now, well, Pico Disleaf exists, Herr Gregor as well, Manager Dawn, well, you get it. So I did want to include them this time. And last part, offense levels. Sure, they don't matter as much, but the +5 offense level difference makes for 16% damage increase, which is still a pretty neat amount. So all calculations here are gonna be calculated against a single target with a 50 defense level. Those are the main differences. Outside this, a few rules stay the same. Critical damage multiplier is counted as basic damage multiplier, but the 1.2 static one from crit isn't, since it isn't an ID property. ID's unique statuses are mostly taken into account. Discards, AoEs and reuses on kills are treated in another list. Also, I'm not counting keywords for IDs who inflict too little, like 6 or less potency plus count in a rotation, or only on skill 3. And that's about it. Well, I have to make a disclaimer that there are a lot of different cases, so calculating everything was hard, and some might be slightly wrong. Also, going through the whole list again made me realize how the formulation for effects has improved, and how older IDs can be so hard to understand sometimes. So some results might not be the exact ones in game, as I couldn't just afford to verify everything. Also, as a last disclaimer, the upcoming values are only the maximum attainable ones in perfect conditions. That means the document isn't made as a reference point for team building and has more entertaining and research values. But enough about it. Before starting, I'm gonna do a quick math class to explain the calculations. I'll keep it short, don't worry. Damage of a skill on a target is calculated with this formula. Skill power times sum of static multipliers times sum of dynamic multipliers. Static multipliers include weaknesses, offense defense level difference, critical damage, and even observation level. Dynamic multipliers include all skills, coins, and status effects like fragile. Power is power. As I said, it multiplies the sum of those, so like a times 2 weakness adds 100% in static, and 5 offense level adds 16%, so static multiplier is plus 116% or times 2.16. Did I ever say stagger is the best status effect? And for dynamic ones, let's say a skill has 50% damage increase, the target has 2 fragile, and you have 2 damage up. That makes for a plus 90% dynamic multiplier or times 1.9. A reminder that more damage multipliers on skills means setup statuses like fragile become less relevant. So let's say you have a 1 coin skill with 10 total power and plus 5 offense level, this is the result. Okay, I hope I didn't lose too many people here. Don't worry, I did all the calculation already, so just enjoy the big numbers. Now let's start the main event, the presentation. As I finished gathering the data, I wondered how I should be presenting it. Presenting it individually per scener would be pretty long, so let's begin by the classic, the tier list. I arranged by tiers the damage ranges attained by IDs in one skill rotation, aka all 6 skills once, and this is the result. Drum rolls please. I'll take it. And voila! The uncontested leader is definitely Manager Down. My calculations only included enhanced skills and responsibility, but even without that, her skill 3 is the strongest single target nuke in the game, almost able to reach 400 raw damage. She does require bleed for all of this, but that's definitely insane. Though second is Wild Dentist Cliff, whose skill 3 also has massive nuke potential with enough coffins and can be used several times. So before continuing, let me remind you of two things. First, this is not taking into account AoEs, so their skill 2 can effectively be quadrupled in damage. Second, best rotations are not applied, so his Cliff skill 3 spam every 2 turns can go above Dawn's base rotation. But well, those two are season highlights, and you can see it easily. But let's come back to the feel of reasonable. Not too much. And I don't know if you know, but Heathcliff has some pretty damn strong IDs. Peak 1 and Full Stop are really close, the first with a passive able to increase his damage by up to 99%, and the other with Atelier Logique, but even then that's still without on glue. By the way, you would need 11 ammos for full rotation, due to skill 3 ones, but whatever. In high ranges, Multiwork Faust is able to deal very high amounts of damage once set up. If she can get fast setups, she can easily destroy enemies as well. Good time to mention that Ego's synergy aren't taken into account, but technically Telepole can help upping the damage even more. Another one is Blading Edge Mersault, which here takes into account to claim their bones as skill 3 and In Memoriam activated, so he has Swordplay of the Homeland, making him a beast, Mersault's second ID being way low with Sank, though good against bosses. After that, the gap gets closer between IDs, at least for one target. And now we find Ring Sang with his infamous skill 2. The strong thing with Ring Sang, which isn't shown here, is that getting this damage is really easy. In fact, you have a 40% chance right from the start, so he's the one whose expected damage can get closer to his max potential damage. But we're not here to talk about expected damage, we're here to talk about max damage. So let's mention each Sinner's highest rank. Deviate Rodion is right next with her high damage multipliers and with her skill 3 con reuse. Barbara Otis can be deceptively strong once all her bleed conditions are fulfilled, and she has her scissors. Though Butler is very close in potential damage, but again, Barbara has AoE. Onglu's DHEID has an easy time fulfilling his conditionals, outside passive at least, which does provide him a boost, but his full stop ID, here calculated with Heathcliff in the back for skill 2 and 3, can easily catch up or surpass damage without passive this time. Dawnclair surpasses his other IDs in potential due to his volatile form, offering huge boost, though his Ncorp ID can get close when getting every tails, calculated with Ncorp's passive. Funnily enough, Rushu's Red Eyes and W Corp IDs are farther from the top and both pretty close, but are pretty easy to use. W Corp will still have an easier time stacking than Red Eyes. Priest and Air Gregor are next, though Priest will have a way easier time dealing damage, as Edgar's passive offers him 90% damage increase, 40% with thinking, and 50% with his SP jumps. And last Sinner, Ishmael's Liu ID has the highest damage potential in Burn, which is still pretty far from the rest, due to a lack of recent damage ID, and mostly support ones. And while we're at it, let's check the bottom 3. Without surprise, Zvi Sinclair is last. With slightly more surprise, equality with LCB Ishmael. And third one is LCB Gregor, though not by that much. In the end, it's interesting to see how each Sinner could perform at best, and it's easy to see that most of their IDs are way lower, no matter the rarity. Well, it's more a confirmation than a surprise. Now, remember when I said this list is on one target with non-optimized rotation for discard or counters? Well, here's the difference once you take those into account. Yeah, AoE can add a lot, especially for the top 2. It allows ABS Faust to get the third highest total damage potential with their self-destruct, which can be the strongest AoE ID skill in the game. Counter spam help Middledon as well, since it's actually a strongest skill, which doesn't help Kurokomorodion as much. Fun fact, due to Wildcliff's AoE, spamming counters end up being slightly weaker if it can hit hold 4 targets. For discard rotation, those who have skill 2 and 3 discarding have a really good time, especially Mola Otis in Tremor team with a passive, but Yechirordia as well. Well, you get the gist of it. It allows some IDs to strive way more for a few Sinners, Though again, the conditions are even harder to get a lot of the time, like having enough HP to counter, or having the perfect discard skill rotation. Before ending this part, we can take a quick comparison at the list more than a year ago. Yeah, it did change. And I'm not talking about the pictures. Since about Season 3, IDs have been getting stronger, with damage more streamlined as of late. But compared to earlier IDs, it's night and day. That's why using most older IDs now feel a bit meh. Arcleaf was one of the biggest contenders for best unit back then, thanks to his 4 fragile, but now it's clearly not considered as much outside a few teams. Even W-Dawn and Ryoshu kinda lost their spotlight. And I'm intrigued to see the state in one more year. Now that's enough damage comparison. As I said, I'm not gonna go through everything as I did this time. However, I do have another stat, which is status infliction. I wasn't gonna do a tier list for each infliction, so instead I thought of another format for it. Therefore I declare officially opened the Keyword Awards! Those will reward the top 3 IDs with the highest infliction for each keyword, one for potency and one for count. Again, it is the highest potential infliction, so it might not totally match your experience. Let's do it in order. First, Burn. Well, there isn't a strong competition here. The Burn Potency Award goes to Dawn Sinclair, whose ability to inflict 44 burn in one rotation is unmatched, thanks to Volatile Ego form offering a lot of infliction. Funnily enough, this might be wrong due to formulation, but he barely loses the count award to Liu Honglu due to his passive allowing high count infliction. Next, Bleed. It is a season, and the competition is harsh, and could be even harsher very soon. But for now, the Potency Award goes to Piquadi Sang. I mean, read this passive. Read the skill? Yeah, that's a lot. Funnily enough, in proper conditions, Red Plum Blossom can inflict a lot. For count though, Piquadi's ability to inflict 10 bleed count on skill 2 is still unmatched. Except by Ring Sang, Wu, while inflicting 9 bleed count in one rotation, can inflict 23 random count, so it could be 23 more bleed, so that can go up to 32 count, even if unlikely. I'm obviously not gonna mention him everywhere, so stop writing your comment already. For Tremor, we mentioned that Tremor count manual reduction was taken into account in the calculations. So for potency we have Zvaishmael, able to surpass LCCB with 14 in total, with 24 on skill 3. Though LCCB is still faster obviously, not requiring setup. For count, surprisingly, Mola Sinclair's ability to inflict 10 count at once on skill 3 gives him the edge with his passive and skill 1. Now Rupture. For potency, it's incredible! We actually have a tie between 70's Cliff and Fengert Onglu. However, since Fengert Onglu is a fraud, I'm arbitrarily removing him, and other with the impossible threshold. By the way, for count, did you know Deviat Sinclair can inflict 21 Rupture count in one rotation? Nice joke, get out. Lantern Dawn is first. Lantern Yisang should be second, but since third place is tied at 9, I'll leave him there. By the way, again, no ego, but WK Yisang with Dimension Shredder easily takes first. I should mention that I should technically take into account ratios more than count, aka how much they consume as well, but I'm pretty sure it doesn't change the ranking here, and I debated enough on which to choose and ended up leaving the raw value. We never know what will happen. So that concerns taking count as well. But first, potency. Funnily enough, Battler Ishmael has barely the most due to her passive increasing status infliction, with the next two very close. For count though, we will not take into account because of the manner, that's cheating. So next cheater is Mola Ishmael, whose passive and skill 3 easily grants her first place. Going on to the two positive statuses, starting with Poise, potency goes to B. Elmer Salt, with In Memoriam, highly increasing his Poise gain. Otherwise it would be Shishmael, with a passive granting more Poise as well under 50% HP. I mentioned for 7th Faust and Bullet Otis, able to gain 20 Poise each skill though. I mentioned as well for Full Stop Heathcliff, gaining up to 19 with Evade. Regarding count, here too I could base myself on the ratio depending on the coins, but hey, first place goes to Zvirodion. Yeah, that's funny, using it as charge. Again, Bielmer Salt with In Memoriam, and then Butler Ryoshu, who could take first place by reusing skill 3. Same with Full Stop Heathcliff and his many skill 2s. Last, charge. So for potency, well, they don't really gain potency directly, and only some of them, so I don't know, this I guess. But about count. Since they are directly consuming it, it will be given to the one having the highest total after consumption. And here, it's actually WOTs due to charge barriers on skill 2, giving back a lot of charge, especially once potency is stacked. I mentioned for Ryoshu's weird system, and Multicroc fault for being infinitely negative due to skill 1 and 2 consumption. Well, that was fun, but that should be enough for today. There's only so much stats one can see before their head explodes, and it feels like I've spent 2 weeks rubbing Porcupus. There's still matter to do more content I guess, but I'll leave it at that for now. And, well, there's still egos missing. Time to open another page I guess. My head hurts already. And that's the end of this video. Thanks for watching. Final message, at least I made a system that's slightly more to my taste. I continue updating this shit from now on, rather than the old one. Next video will either be Ego Spot or an animated story, because I should really try to do my next one soon. Subscribe and check the community tab for news every Monday. In any case, see you next time, and keep your sanity high in this slow descent into the inferno.